Welcome to a fresh set of devotions this week. I'm glad that you're here with us. And today, I want to talk to you about one thing. You know, in Scripture, there's a lot of times when you see God zeroing in and focusing on one thing. Just one thing, one person, one place, one idea. And there's a lot of God just signaling that. And a lot of times, as people that are longing for God to work, we want God to work in multiple streams. We want to see God doing all these cool things at once. And we want to see it like moving parts, like a stadium full of God's work. But more often than not, the most impact happens when there's one thing going on. So I want to tell you today how God often starts with one person. I've said this before, and it's really, really vital for you to know that one person is a really, really big deal. Our entire mission statement for the Log Church is to win one more. We're always focused, and we exist for the one person who is left that does not go to our church yet. Somebody that needs Jesus, somebody that doesn't know about the redemptive work and the love of Christ. Well, believe it or not, when God does work, a lot of times in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, you see God focusing down on one person, giving them a holy and desirable calling and putting it on their life, and seeing what he does in the legacies to follow. One such case comes from the book of Esther. You know the story of Esther if you don't. Esther was the queen who, was an unlikely queen. She was a Jewish person. And when she was in her position as being married to the king, she became aware of a plot to take out and exterminate all of the Jews. That's a long story. It's the whole subject of the book of Esther. So it's the whole thing. But I'm going to point you, of course, to the most famous passage between her and Mordecai, where he explains to her how this isn't a chance, that it's just not by chance that God put her in the kingdom and made her be a part of the palace and have the king's ear. No, this is more about God searching and putting one person in the right place to do something miraculous for him. So let's take a look at the verse, Esther 4:14. He talks about her not doing anything, which she's on the fence because she doesn't know. Mordecai says, if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. So he said, here's the thing. He said, if you don't do what you know you should do, God's going to do it some other way. However, you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. One lady. That's why when it always kind of boggles my mind when, people that critique the Bible or, they're against how the Bible looks in light of 21st century culture. The Bible has a lot of situations where God works in the hearts of women and uses women in a mighty way. They're like, oh, the Bible's antiquated. It's against women. That's not true at all. This woman saves the kingdom. This woman, her boldness, her daring, her bravery. But aside from the fact that she's a woman, and aside from the fact that we could really examine a lot of instances where God uses women, I want to focus on the fact that God chose one woman. God put this one person in this situation to make one choice. So I want to give you a little bit of encouragement. You think, for some reason, that because you aren't on the stage of something, or because you're not leading something, or because you're not a person that people would look to for some sort of validation, you're kind of like on your own. You're kind of a lone wolf. You're like, well, I don't know how God's going to use me. It doesn't always happen the way that you think it happens. It starts with one idea that God has touched you, and he has given you some sort of purpose. That purpose might not be this massive thing. That purpose might just be something as simple as making a phone call or doing something for someone that you weren't planning on doing. God works in one person at a time. So my question to you as we close this out is, are you going to be that one person?